Hello again, Jay here, coming back. I've finally sat down and had time to put this together, so apologize that it took me a little longer than I thought, but this should be short and sweet. I don't think this first week's going to be real challenging, like I said before, and just want to kind of get us off the ground and running. We're starting if you do have the book, it's page 32, like I said, it's the problem solving section. And I'm just going to kind of walk through a couple brief things here at the beginning. And the reason mainly I want to start with problem solving is because obviously being online, a lot of the problems that we're going to deal with, a lot of things on the test are going to be in word problem form. So therefore, I just want everyone to get acclimated and feel comfortable in attacking word problems. Some people might already feel comfortable, but it's just something to kind of go through just to make sure that you know you have a plan in case you're not comfortable, and it's kind of just a good rundown of how to attack problems, how to kind of go about them. And if you want to follow along in the book, that's great. If you do not have the book and you're watching this, it might be a good idea just to take a few notes, just to kind of jot some things down, as some of this stuff will probably be on the test in some form, as far as like true, false, or listing multiple choice. So, hint, hint. Uh, in page 32, it starts out with following a five-step plan, and the five steps are identify the question, and what that means is like what is the problem asking for. You might get a bunch of information, but at some point in the problem, it's going to ask you for something specific. It might run down a list of boxes that are coming into a company, and there's 10, 12, 14 of them coming in, and each one weighs so much amount, and at the very end it's going to say what was the total weight. Well, now that you know the question, now you kind of go back and isolate and know what to do. So first thing you do is identify the question. What exactly is the question looking for? Step one, identify the question. Step two is identify the information to use. um, One of the tricks, I'll say, a lot of times you'll see in math word problems, is they'll give you more information than what you need. um, if they tell you that 25 boxes came in and the heaviest one weighed 75 pounds, the lightest one weighed 20 pounds, um, 14 of them weighed 50 pounds, another 10 weighed a certain amount, pounds, whatever. And at the very end, they just say, what's the range of weight from the heaviest to the lightest? Well, the information about how many of them weighed 25 pounds or 50 pounds doesn't matter. All you need to know is how much the heaviest one weighed and how much the lightest one weighed. So in other words, identify the information you need to use, get rid of information that you don't need, get rid of the useless information. So sometimes you might sit and look at a problem, and even physically, if it's in front of you, scratch out the information you don't need. Obviously, if the problem's on the line, you can't really scratch it out, but you get the general idea of what I'm saying. So step one, identify the question. Step two, identify the information that you're going to use. Step three is make a plan. Make a plan is kind of deciding what mathematical operation you're going to use. Are you going to add, multiply, subtract, divide? Do you need to multiply two things together and then add? Do you need to add two things together and then divide? Sometimes it's more than one step. But at that point, have an idea of what math you're going to use and think about that problem. And a key thing for that is, if you look at the bottom of that page, there's a chart down at the bottom. It's titled Signal Words, and it's for addition, subtraction, multiply, and division. It's certain words that you see in a problem that's going to trigger you to know that means addition, that means subtraction, that means multiplication, that means division. And most of them are pretty self-explanatory. Most people are comfortable with most of them. It's not anything strange. The one big one that I will emphasize on here that I'll tell you, because I've seen it so many times back when I was teaching, years ago in the prison, is that when you see the term "how much more than" or "how many more than," people see that word "more" and they automatically want to think "add," because when you think more, you're adding on to. But in the case of when you see before it "how much more than," it's technically you're finding the difference between two items, so you're going to subtract. For example, if I have two people in front of me and one weighs 150 pounds and one weighs 180 pounds, and I say, how much more does Fred weigh than Bill, well, you're not going to add them together and say, oh, he weighs 330 pounds more. No, he weighs 30 pounds more. And why is it 30? Because you subtract the 150 from the 180. It's the difference between the two people's weight. So that's the one that I'll emphasize that I see missed time and time again, is how much more, how many more. Just make sure when you see that word more, if it's included with a how much more, how many more, it is definitely subtraction. Okay, don't get caught up in seeing that word more and thinking it's addition. Okay, so just want to make sure. And that chart at the bottom is a good one to kind of look over and just kind of see things. Per is a good one for division. You'll see how many miles per hour, which simply means divide. You're dividing miles divided by hours. You see the word per a lot. It's automatically a cue for division. So a good little chart just to kind of help you look through. Carry out your plan. Step number 4. So we have step number 1, identify the question. Step number 2, identify the information to use. Step number 3 is make a plan. Step number 4 is carry out the plan. So once you've established, okay, I need to multiply in this problem, then take your information and multiply whatever numbers you have there in front of you to multiply. If it's subtract, it's take the 2 numbers or 3 numbers, whatever it may be, and subtract. So again, the carrying out the plan step 4 is simply the math that you're going to do, the computation, whatever you've decided is appropriate for whatever the question is asking for. And step number 5, the last one, is check your results. It's obviously one that is neglected a lot, I'd say. People don't like to go back. Once they've done the problem, it's like it's over with. I'm done with that. But check your results, check your computation again. And this is where you'll hear me stress this again a lot too, and my class at Valor can attest to this. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the mathematics part of it and making sure, we get to later on, you're lining up decimals, or you're changing fractions from improper to mixed, or you're worried about the rules of integers. Once in a while, you have to step back from a problem and use what I say common sense. Now, when I say use common sense, a lot of people, it sounds like you're being kind of like insulting. And I don't mean that in an insulting way at all. What I mean by common sense is sometimes you'll have a problem that you're so geared into just worried about the mathematical part of it that you kind of neglect to see what the problem truly asks. And your answer that you'll choose really doesn't make sense. Example of that. The test I just gave at Valor not too long ago was decimal. There was decimal problems on there, and one of the first problems was 25 plus 3.17 or something like that. Now, if you look at that just without even thinking about any rules of math, you have a whole number of 25 and you're adding something to it. So the answer has to be bigger than 25. And you'd be shocked how many people put like 3 point something because they were so geared on decimals, they lined up, they put the numbers in the wrong place, and all of a sudden they're wrong. But if you step back and just look at that problem and say, okay, I have $25 and I'm adding $3 to it, well, boom, that should really cue you into your answer. I hope that's making sense. But again, the check your results doesn't necessarily just mean you have to sit down and just do the problem again. For me, I like to emphasize to people is stop worrying about the math part of it. Stop worrying about like, should I have multiplied? Should I have divided? Did I carry correctly? Did I, does this go into this that many times? Was I right? Use common sense once in a while and just look back at the problem and read it just simply as a problem without math. Just read it like you're having a conversation with somebody and say, does that make sense? Okay. And again, the weight thing was a good one. Bill weighs 170 pounds. John weighs 210 pounds. How much more does John weigh? And for some reason, people just get sometimes in these situations where they'll sit down and they'll do something real quick and they'll write an answer and like they think they did it right and they'll just move on. But if you step back and let's say you wrote 380, if you reread that question and think, well, there's no way he weighs 380 pounds more than him. That's not impossible. He only weighs 210 pounds. That should tell you that, boom, what did I do wrong? Okay? So just to emphasize there, check your results a lot of times for me just means Step back, reread it, the problem as common sense. Don't worry about the math part of it when you're checking your answer. Okay. All right. So our 5 steps again: identify the question, identify the information to use, make a plan, carry out the plan, and check your results. That's the 5 steps for the problem solving. And again, some of those keywords in the chart, good to use or good to know. After that, there's really only about 5 pages in the book, maybe 7, I should say. Yeah, it goes through 39, and it's just basically a bunch of word problems, and it's asking you to, like in the first page, identify the question to your answer. You're not even doing any math. You're just looking to identify, like, what's the question asking? What information does the problem looking to solve? And then the next page is too much or too little information. So in other words, it's giving you unnecessary information. It wants you to eliminate that information, like, that's not needed. And then the next page is you're choosing an operation to solve the problem. So it's kind of giving you a bunch of word problems to test each of the 5 steps. It's, to work on those. Page 36 is a very good one. It's solving 2-step word problems. Obviously, you're going to come to some situations where you have to carry out like 2 plans. Maybe you have to add 2 numbers together, then multiply it by another number. An example of that would be you go out. It might be a problem where you go out to eat with somebody, and it tells you that your friend's bill comes to $17.58. Your bill comes to $15.22. Tax was $2.85. What's the total bill? In that case, you're just simply adding all 3 numbers together, no problem. But what it might say is worded a little bit differently. 2 people go out, and each of their meals were, or let's say 4 people go out, each of their meals were $17, and then tax was $4.75. What's the total bill? Well, you're going to have to multiply the 4 times the 17, boom, get that number, then add the tax on, boom, have that total number for the total bill. Another popular one I've seen is with clothing. It'll say a shirt is maybe half off, or, well, no, I'll say a fourth off or 25% off. And it say the shirt was $80, and the question will ask, what's the total cost of the shirt, or what's the final cost of the shirt? And a lot of people will get the 25% off, the 1/4 off, or if you want to say 1/4, and get the 20 and think that's the answer. Well, that's not the answer. The $20 represents the discount. So you have to take that 20 and subtract it from the 80. Obviously, your price you're paying for the shirt or the jacket, or whatever, is $60. So again, excuse me, that's another example of a 2-step problem. Clothing, you get a percent off. Boom, you take that. You get the discount. So you're multiplying to get the discount. Then you're subtracting that number from the original price to get the final price. It's so weird doing this on a video, not having like a board or something to write on. So bear with me. I feel kind of awkward because I'm so used to writing this down, pinpointing things, doing examples. So it's weird just to kind of verbally say it into a screen. I'm staring back at myself as I'm doing this. So that's about all. This is nice and short. Like I said, the first week is going to be, I think very, very easily. I don't want to, overwhelm or come off, like, wow, like I'm not ready for all that. And hopefully everyone has the book. I saw some yeses. I don't know about everybody, but if you don't, I'm still quite sure you're going to be fine the first week. The word problems that we're doing are going to be very, very basic. They're not going to be anything, I don't think challenging as far as like the math. We're not looking at like exponents, integers, no, variables, stuff like that. We'll get into all that later. So it's just getting used to the word problems and just making sure you're comfortable with how to attack those. So again, if you have questions, feel free to email me, put it on the discussion board. It might be better for the discussion board. You can even start a new post if you want. Because my thing with this, and you've heard it, I'm sure, many times, if you have a question, odds are someone else has the same question. So don't feel like, well, I'm not going to ask that because I look stupid or I feel dumb. No, because odds are someone else does. has that same question, or maybe I I might have said something wrong, or maybe something you thought I said, something wrong, or something sounded funny. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And like I said, I have to, another thing with this program, I have to manually enter the test information. I can't just scan it, copy it, and put stuff on here. So um, that's why I apologize. It's been a busy few days, so I'm going to have that loaded. I'm hoping tomorrow early enough where people would have tomorrow night, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to complete it. It should, like I said, be no problem. Probably 20 to 25 questions, something like that. Um, so again, nice to meet everybody. If there's any questions, get it on the discussion board. Start a new post if you want. And if there's anybody that you see on the roster, I don't know if you have access to the roster, but if you do, and if you notice somebody hasn't commented, don't be afraid to reach out to them just to make sure they know that we've started, and let them know where we're at. And God bless you guys. Again, praying for everybody. Just pray this is a great 8 weeks, that we have a good time, and that everyone does well, and that we all have a great experience. So God bless. Take care.